very, 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 very last minute, like 2 days before the deadline to close the entire fucking government down, and then they drop this massive fucking bill full of shit because full of stuff because
mad scientist.
Full of stuff because if it doesn't get passed, nobody gets paid, so they jam through all kinds of stuff. What happened this time, and everybody is very angry, is that X affected that $1,500 page document just got denied. And then they came back with 100 and some page document, and the Democrats, because they were butthurt, refused to sign it. But it speaks to the starting change and the influence that X has. So I'm thinking about starting to, I think that this creation of a new dictionary, I think that I'm going to start posting to RFK about the creation of a new dictionary of food terminology. Because it, especially if we have our hands in it, Matt, if we create it and he sees the post eventually and is like, that seems like a really good idea, and then he goes and looks at it and sees that we've already done all the work, then we go from 0 to 2,000 miles an hour, Matt. We're like one of them Russian missiles that goes Mach 10 that they can't shoot down.
Right.
So I think that this is a good starting point, and I think that we also need to start. I think we need to start a hashtag database, because that's the hardest thing, and that's Amy's the one that turned me on to the hashtags, and I think that that's part of the reason my stuff took off so fast. So now when I do it, when I remember, I try to do the hashtags, but you never know which hashtags. So now we have a list of hashtags attached to them, to them, to them, to them. I put Camp Compost, but it's really the organic farmers. They might have an organization already. We just need to find out who it is, and we're tagging them.
You create your own hashtag, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
No, you create.
And we'll create
your own hashtag.
And we'll create our own hashtags as well. So everything we post will have all those hashtags associated, and we just keep adding them. So like if there is a organic bovine association, that's one of our hashtags. Chickens, pork, fish, fruits and vegetables, all that stuff.
So for the audience, can you explain what it is that we're doing and why?
So the reason we're doing this is...
What are we doing first?
What are we doing? We are trying... Our ultimate goal is to create a network where people can come in and feel safe about making decisions about food. Because food is kind of become poison, but it's also kind of necessary. So what we want to do is we want to eventually create a network where people can go, they can buy from their local farmer, and they can see exactly what their local farmer is doing, best practices, even watch videos of the farm if they want to. The farmers benefit because they can bypass all of the bureaucracy that is attached to, being a farmer, and go direct to the consumer the way it used to be. So we want to bridge that gap, take the middleman out, and get a, farm to table, and not in a restaurant. We're talking farm to table as in your table. But we also want you to be educated. What is glyphosate? What is organic? Organic with Whole Foods is the first company that comes to mind when you think of organic. The thing is that they sold out quite a while ago. All their organic food comes from China. So is it really organic or isn't it? there's so many vague terms out there right now that we want to recreate. We want to recreate a dictionary of terms that are actually so the consumer understands. Free range is a vague term.
Tell us your story about going into the shopping store and your experiences learning about our food.
Actually, I can make it easier than that. I live in the United States of America, and we have the FDA and the USDA, and they regulate everything. And that is the way I was raised, and that is the way that I was taught. So I saw this post that said 10 foods banned from export out of America. And I'm like, how could that be possible? I watched that video, and it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that America is poisoning their people, and other countries don't want to have anything to do with our poison. They don't export meat out of the United States because we wash our meat in chlorine, which is poison. You hear terms like glyphosate. Most of our food has glyphosate in it. All of a sudden, everybody is allergic to gluten, and nobody understands why. The reason they're allergic to gluten is it's not gluten, it's the glyphosate, which is Roundup. And again, you start to look like a wackadoodle, but I started to go down this rabbit hole, and the reason why we're talking about and doing this is I ran into a wall, and that is I don't even like going into the grocery store with my girl anymore because I get so much anxiety because you don't know what's in the food, and you have to read everything. And the really, really messed up thing is that companies that we trust are continually being bought out. And when they get bought out, they change their ingredients. Do you know how disheartening it is to trust something and then all of a sudden read the label and it's changed? It's happened more than once now. And long story short, organic, we were taught to trust organic. And then we were taught to not trust organic. And then we were taught to trust organic. But then I find out that organic has become so vague that it doesn't mean anything. I feel that organic should be spelled out.
And then we go to Amazon.
Well, ultimately, I would like to be able to be just like Amazon and be able to take these farmers and be able to have them pre-sell their entire crop and just have it shipped out as it comes in. It goes right out to the end consumer without the middleman, without all the extra costs. Now our farmers will be making more money, and they'll feel like a farmer again. I don't feel that half the people feel like farmers anymore. I feel like they feel that they're captive and they have to use this poison, and this poison, or else they will not be able to put food on their table and they will lose their farm.
Aren't some of these sprays specifically designed to activate the seed? So it makes them have to use the spray if they want to use the seed?
They have to use all these chemicals to be able to farm. And they are constantly going and forcing the farmers into doing this, and the farmers aren't okay with it. Look at India. India, they are still a farm-based economy, and they are just getting absolutely killed because of the bureaucracy of these chemical companies.
Mm-hmm.
They're holding them hostage.
So our mission is to basically define food. It's one of the greatest national security threats that we have today is our food supply.
Yeah.
And so our mission is to, one, define the foods, and to, two, create the network that allows you to get the whole foods that you truly need. Not just whole foods in name, but whole foods in spirit.
Exactly. Because I know a lot of people that just end up saying, you know what, forget it. I can't win, so I might as well just eat what is available to me. I can't afford it. And that's the other thing is I would love to be able to make it so that it's affordable. And I feel the only way that we can make good food affordable is to cut the freaking middleman out.
True enough.
And I'm sure that everybody would argue that that's a horrible thing for the economy. I don't feel it's a horrible thing for the economy because this was our economy up until 100 years ago. You know, you got your food directly from the farmer in a market.
So as it stands right now, the farmer takes the seed to the, what's it called? The co-op. Isn't that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
And that seed has been pre-sold on a market. So the co-op pays the farmer based on the sale of that commodity. And they're regulated on what seeds they can utilize.
The thing is another thing that a lot of people do not understand is traditionally, as a matter of fact, my ex-girlfriend, her dad, as part of his, because that's what he did in his retirement, was farm. He'd save so many potatoes so that he could start his farm the next time. He would save so many seeds so he wouldn't have to buy seeds. The seeds that they manufacture now are good for one grow, and they're patented. So you have to use them, and you can't reuse them. So you cannot replant that seed. It's illegal.
So it's been kind of taking advantage of our corporate culture, of our corporate...
Well, they've taken advantage of the fact that we need to that we need to eat. They've taken that and weaponized it. We have to buy their seed. The prime example is part of the reason that Donald Trump now is in office. The Amish do not practice that. The Amish still practice traditional growing. And a lot of the American people that realized that they were getting fed poison started going to the Amish places to buy. So what do? In Pennsylvania? We raid the Amish. We shut them down. That's a weaponization. That is a weaponization.
So we talked about our mission is to start out with an interview series. Mm-hmm. Can you build on that?
We'd like to start with an interview series because I'm not a farmer. I'm somebody that made the mistake of clicking on a link and going down a rabbit hole. She's not a farmer. Same thing. There's a lot of people out there. I'd like to be able to eat healthy and not have to second guess everything. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to be educated. But I'd like the stuff to be on the labels. They said they put those labels on there to protect us. But those labels don't say this is poison. This is poison.
Seems like just as soon as they do something to protect us, these special interests do something to
figure out how to poison us.
To figure out how to get around what was designed to protect us. It's like
I say they can have it. What I'm talking about is I want to create a cooperative of people that are all like-minded, that would like to come together and not have to worry about all of the... Because that's the other thing, and that's part of the reason I am so frustrated with what to buy, because they put propaganda out there. This is bad for you now. This is bad for you now. This is bad for you now. This is good. You take margarine and you take butter. You set them both outside next to an anthill. That butter is going to be covered in ants. That margarine, an ant ain't going to touch it. Why is that margarine better for me than that butter? And that's what I'm talking about, is all the negative, the lies. And again, as an American, I thought that there was supposed to be truth in advertising. I didn't think you could put something on the news that was a lie. And the thing is I thought that this was a recent thing. I thought that it actually started happening, I want to say 2018, but the reality is they've been lying to us about food since day one.
Margarine came out when we were kids, 40 years ago.
Margarine originally was designed to fatten up livestock.
40 years ago,
and
they
now
came
it's
out with
supposed to be
margarine.
healthy. So, what I'd like is I'd like to make it so that it's so you understand where your food's coming from, and you understand what they mean. So, a dictionary of food terminology is what I would like to see. A place where I can go and find people that practice these. So, if I want to eat a chicken that has been able to run around in a real field, not in a barn full of chickens, I have that right.
So kind of leveling that playing field.
Mm-hmm.
and providing a network for those that want to make a purchase to be able to connect with the people to purchase from.
Yeah.
And we'll start that effort through a series of interviews with farmers that we'll publish, and you'll have access to the real information from the ground up before it gets to the market. You'll hear all the frustrations of the farmers, the things that they go through, the things that they experience, the trials that they face when they're doing their crops, the evolution of the market. They're going to certainly share insight on that. And
I don't know about you, but I would love to know why they have to pump a cow full of antibiotics. Is it because they have them on top of each other? I mean...
Well, certainly it's going to be disease, and what happens is once you introduce one thing, you have to counteract it with another thing. So if you hyperinflate the need for mass production of food, or the necessary aspect of paying the mortgage, you got to rise with inflation. So now you're stacking cows on top of each other. In order to do that, you need to pump them full of the antibiotics and the vaccines, because, you know, those bugs turn into superbugs, and the superbugs will turn into mighty bugs. So we'll need more vaccines, and the rent and the mortgage is going to go up even more, so you're going to have to stack more cows. So it's this never-ending inflation, which is essentially the way of capitalism.
But is some of that motivated because we have so many middlemen?
Well, it's not only the middlemen. I had a thought come to mind. I saw a post from How Farms, or I think it was How Farms. If it wasn't How Farms, it was a guy holding a starter for his tractor in his hand, telling us why food costs so much, because now he's holding a $600 starter. Now, when I was a kid, you could get a starter for $50. I don't know how it turned into a $600 starter.
Because they can.
But that is the mechanism of inflation. In basically, you know, one thing affects the other. You know, not only are you compounding these superbugs and needing to inject them with more vaccines and more antibiotics, but you're compounding, you know, inflation all across the nation. So now the $100 starter turns into a $600 starter, and it's often driven basically by those that want to make more and more and more. And it's the race to the top that is creating this super bubble that is going to pop. So I think part of our mission, Tony, is to, when this bubble does pop, is to have that sustainable network for people to connect. I mean, I would harness this network to get Whole Foods anyway.
I don't think that this network is a mainstream network, Matt. I don't. I think that there's always going to be somebody that wants to take advantage of somebody else. And I feel that is the main market. I don't think that this would compete with the main market. I think that this is a niche to the individual that wants quality and safe. Now, I want to figure out how to make it affordable. But just quality and safe in itself is the market. You know, these people that are shopping at Whole Foods. They're doing it because they want to be safe. I don't think it has anything to do with status. I think it's because they want safe food. But I don't think they're getting safe food anymore. Especially if the company that made its reputation on safe food is now bringing in most of their stuff from China.
So just another demonstration of exploiting
effect on food.
Not only capitalism's effect on food, but exploiting the definition.
Exactly.
Because now we have a trick name called Whole Foods being built upon the impression of the organic nature of those foods within that store. And although these foods in that store are
There's a perception
probably
that they're all safe.
yeah, they're probably somewhat organic, but when we introduce the purchase of these goods from a source that may or may not be trusted or regulated, there's all sorts of ambiguity now. So unless you're testing your food at home, how do you know you're truly getting a whole food? Which brings to mind, Tony, what about being able to test foods at home? Haven't we seen people out there that have done measurement on, just say, a potato, and they'll take the potato and they'll measure the resonance? Don't they get a frequency out of that potato?
I have not gone down that rabbit hole. That's.
I wonder if we could go down that rabbit hole at some point and investigate.
If there was a requirement, like I said, an actual real dictionary of terms, if there was a requirement, and that was federally required. We already have an ingredients list, but I'm talking about adding to that. I'm talking about a big old freaking stamp on the front of the package, not hidden in the back and fine in in a really small point lettering. Country of origin. The organic practices, what they used. Now, I realize that it's hard to put down, okay, this was all done by composting. But if we have a term, composted organic matter is an actual, that's something that has to come on the label.
Department of Definitions needs to be a new government organization.
Well, I think that they need to do that. But even if they don't do it, I think that we do it, and then we shame them into doing it themselves. We create the list.
Yeah, because as soon
as we
as
find the professionals to help us make this list, and then, we put out the farmer's dictionary.
Yep, so that's what we're looking to do, guys, and this is our first video. We're going to document our journey. You're going to see sweet potatoes in the pan because that's just life as we know it. So we're going to be very...
don't forget breakfast burritos.
And our breakfast burritos. But we're going to be very, just real people here.
So, if you can help, reach out. If you're going to be a troll, we're just going to ignore you. Because there's plenty of negative Nancys out there. We're trying to make a difference. So if you want to help, speak up. Help us.
Yeah, we're going to figure out a website name. We're going to figure out a way to popularize these videos, get them into the hands of the public. We're going to figure out a way to create some sort of market to where the farmers can connect with their buyers, and the buyers can connect with the farmers, but also so that the buyers will have some sort of clear definition of what it is they're buying. So we hope to actually define that, which was it was a great idea by Tony to do that. And then we're also going to try to do some cooking shows with Amy, who you saw walk through the video. She didn't introduce herself. Do some cooking shows that'll, show you how to take some of these ingredients and turn them into, something that you can enjoy and that is good for you. I did see not too long ago a video about, this group of old people. I think I sent it to you last night or so, where this group of old people, not old people, they were young people in the 40s, walking through town, and they say, "What's that?" And this said, "That's a clothes machine, ma'am." it washes your clothes, and you hook it up to electricity. And the long story short is that, yes, it does save time. I will not wash my clothes by hand, but at the time, these people were perfectly set up to wash clothes by hand. And the comment was from the husband was, you're wanting to rent me a clothes machine so you can sell me electricity. So instead of working for myself, he says, I'm working for you. Which is kind of the way the market has gone. And we're not trying to turn the market on its head, because, the capitalistic society does push for expansion and betterment as a whole. But I think what we're seeing is that those in the know and those with the money have the power and the money to be able to steer public health, in this case, to their best interest. Because as long as they're lining their pockets, our health doesn't seem to totally matter. So this isn't an effort to turn the market on its head, but it is an effort to give people that really want something whole, give them an opportunity to tap into that. And the farmers, the frustration of these farmers. Their hands are tied. And I think we're going to hear a lot about that in our interviews.
Not just in the United States, worldwide, there is. Heck, they were throwing manure on the streets of France. They were just driving down the streets of England because of excessive taxes and excessive regulations that make no sense whatsoever. It is a challenge to be a farmer. The crazy thing is in England, a lot of these farmers are 5th generation and greater, and they're going to lose their farms to corporations to come in and buy them out after they go under.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's a shame.
Yeah, because you got the mega farms now. Isn't it even Bill Gates that's buying up all these farms?
He's the largest farmland owner in the United States.
Which is concerning, because
he's a poisoner. He's a poisoner.
Once you take control and you corner that market, what's the point of Bill doing that,
Why are you going to buy up farmland and then sell people fake meat that's not even grown on a farm?
I don't understand it. And I don't feel like he's using his money in a, I don't think he's being a godly steward of that money.
This has nothing to do with God. That man is definitely not a godly man.
Let's not speculate on that.
Jump to conclusions and yada yada yada.
But a godly
we
steward
are judged by our actions.
In terms of
actions speak louder than words.
He's disrupting these farms by offering them a buyout.
Not offering, forcing.
Oh.
He's India. He had a massive hand in the change of Indian agriculture.
Wow. Interesting. It's the power of money, and it gives you a very good opportunity to use it to your advantage or to use it for the betterment of people that, the general public good. And I guess, we'll see how it plays out. But for us, defining food and the tricks of the trade, kind of opening the eyes of the public, that's kind of what our goal is. So we're pushing 30 minutes on this video. We're going to wrap up in 45 seconds.
Okay. This is a call out. This is a call out to the organic farmers that are trying to come together. It is a call out to the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. The Mormons have practiced food stores and disaster preparation. We would love to have their input. They've already done more research than we can ever do. Seventh-day Adventists. They are some of the longest living, they are the longest living Americans. but they have managed to put themselves on a worldwide scale from their nutrition and their exercise. Those are people that we would like to work with. The Amish, the feds raided them. They actually changed the course of an election. They practice all the old methods. The Mennonites, same thing. And then the organic farmers of the United States get together, camp compost. I will be reaching out to those organizers here soon, and we'd like to work with them. We'd like all of their help in creating a realistic dictionary that hopefully will be forced to be put on food, but I think that our network should practice adding this stuff to our labels personally. And I think that adding that stuff to our labels is going to start creating trusted brands. And once you have trusted brands, as long as we don't manipulate them, those companies will thrive. Because once somebody trusts somebody, until you lose their trust, you've got them for life.
Yeah, let's not send Tony to the grocery store confused anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.